Right, I'm putting together another box of random RC stuff, and I'm going to have to find another box because I've got these shells here. I've got this one, which is brand new, still in the packet, no good to me, and a Nissan, this is probably a Skyline or something. The only one I'm not giving away or getting rid of is this brand new. It's a Savage 21 or GT1 shell, brand new. It's old stock probably. I mean, I acquired it, oh god, we must be talking 6-7 years ago, and I just haven't got, I'll tell you what, I haven't got the courage to paint it. I wouldn't want to paint it anything different. I'd want to paint it the proper colours to try and make, well, to try and do a proper 21 shell. But every time I try and paint a shell, with me it seems to be the things where if I try hard to make something good and nice, it comes out diabolical and everything goes wrong. If it's painting, I always get runs and drips and I always spill the paint because I'm trying not to. If I don't try, I'm just like, I'll slap it all on, it comes out bloody mint. But that shell is as rare as anything you can imagine that's rare. You just can't get brand new 21 body shells anymore. So I haven't got the guts to paint it or try and paint it, and I can't afford to pay somebody to paint it for me. So it's just going to sit there until maybe one day I might paint it. And I know what some of you are going to say, just buy some other shells that don't really matter and practice on painting them. I could do, but they cost money and time, both of which are at a premium for me at the moment. I did have some other shells somewhere. Let's go and have a look for them. Oh, I'm pretty sure there was some other shells somewhere. Aha! I think there's some down here. Look. What we got? Oh yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, I'll probably keep that one. Don't know. BMW. That's a nice shell. That can go. That one can go. We've got a packet of wheels. I don't know what else down there. They can go. Yeah, they're no good to me. I've got another pack of them somewhere, brand new, no good. Now that shell can go. I don't want that one. I like this shell, probably one of my favourite. Blimey. Merry Christmas everyone. Probably one of my favourite on-road shells that I've had, this one, because I like the way the paint's coming off. I like the 30 shell. Well, the look of an E30 anyway. E30, E36s, even E46 really, but the E30s are my favourite. But I've got no cars that this will fit on, so that's going to go. This one's probably my second favourite Savage shell. It's had a lot of use over the years. I acquired it second hand. No, I bought it. I think I bought it off of eBay 10-15 years ago, and it's already cut the front out. And I've used it quite a lot over the years. I do like it. Probably my second favourite shell. My favourite one being the original 21 shell, which is on my Savage at the moment. Should I part with that? I don't know. I think I probably will, to be honest, because it's just laying around doing nothing. Right, next up, I've got this box of stuff. Now, this is difficult because this is all stuff that I'm probably not going to use at any time in the near future. Now, this box of stuff was actually given to me by a subscriber, probably, I don't know, 10 years ago, something like that. And it's sort of sat around and I haven't used any of it. So the next thing to do is, I always feel quite bad if I sell something that was given to me by anybody. But sometimes things just laying around is no good for anyone. So if someone gives me something and I don't need it or want it, I just pass it on. I give it to someone, because in my opinion, that is doing another good deed. I might be wrong, I might be right, you can leave your opinions in the comments if you really want to. But I'm going to give this stuff to somebody that I know might want to use it. Oh no! I think this transmitter went to a Savage that I sold probably a couple of months ago. I sold it to a subscriber. Now I thought that Savage, in the back of my head I did think that Savage had radio gear, but then I thought to myself, well, all the transmitters are accounted for my ones. There isn't any spare transmitters, so obviously that one didn't have any radio gear. But then when I come across this because I stored some stuff in in the family member's shed, and I was cleaning it all out. That's what them shelves were. And when I come across this transmitter, I thought to myself, I went, oh no, that's the transmitter that went for that Savage. So it was a Savage X, I think, and I sold it to one of you subscribers. So if you're the one that bought that Savage off me, my apologies. If you want this transmitter, please contact me, and I'll post it to you for free, because it's my fault. I should have gave it to you with the Savage. There we go. If I don't hear anything from him, I'll give it away, because it's a transmitter, but somebody else might have a receiver that this will bind to, so I'll put it in a box to give away. And by the way, some of the stuff I'm giving to someone, I'm just straight giving it to someone, but I'm putting another box together, because what I do is all the stuff that I don't want or need, but to be fair, I just can't be bothered to sell loads of little bits, because it's quite a lot of work. Big stuff, yeah, I can put that up for sale and sell. Little things, I don't really bother. So what I do is I put them all in a box, and then I just give it to a subscriber or a channel member. If you're a channel member, you've got double the chance of winning a box of stuff, basically. If you're a subscriber, what happens is I just get a minion or someone to go down the subscriptions list, so they're completely unbiased, because they don't know who you are from Adam, right? And they just pick a random name, and there you go, you win something. I contact you, and you win a box of stuff. So if you want to win a box of stuff, it could be anything in there. I could engines, whatever I find, and more. Engines, transmitters, receivers, whatever I find that I just think I'm sick of that laying around, put it in that box. It's a mystery box, basically. There we go. These fans, by the way, I completely forgot I had these, and we've been having a bit of a heat wave recently, but these, bloody brilliant. They're powerful and all. This is the new version. This is the old version, but this is just as good. Charge them up, and they're GT power, but wheel spin models, good old wheel spin, they stock GT power. Now GT power themselves sponsor me, but wheel spin do stock GT power stuff. So whether they sell them fans, I'm not sure. Go and have a look on the Wheel Spin Models and Hobbies website now, and have a look, because I'll tell you what, they're bloody good for cleaning off your RC cars, but also for doing anything really. Dry your bloody hair with it if you want. It doesn't go hot, but it's only cold. But they're bloody good as a fan. Yeah, now those fans that you just hold it, they're rubbish compared to them things. They actually blow out cold air, because they got like a little jet in them. Look, they got like a little jet blades, and my giddy aunt do they go. They bloody well do. Yeah, go and have a look, and if they got them, get yourself one or two, because they're bloody handy. I've got to take the battery out of here. The last time I met with my mate, Mr. Jordan, there was no battery in here, because I swapped this Savage for another car with him for this, and there was no. Well, I took that 5.9. and that went tits up. So I said, oh, I might run this one then. Does it run? He said, I don't know. So we tried, but I didn't have a battery in it. There was no battery for it, but he had a spare battery with him. So he lent me that. But then we both forgot that it was in there. So make sure I give that back to him tomorrow, if he's there. Stick that back together again. This Savage, it's a Savage 3.5, probably, with the Savage 25 shell on it. Tis for sale. If anyone's interested in it, tis for sale. It's a nice one as well. Runs bloody well. Runs well, goes well, changes gear perfectly. Comes with radio gear, Fly Sky radio gear. So, not the best, but does the job. But I haven't put it up on the interweb yet. So if you want it, but then again it might be up by the time you see this. Do you know what? It's anyone's guess. Somebody pointed out in the other video I done about how to put a battery pack in this that there's a little hole in the side of the lid, which there is, you know. But the one thing that they could do to improve it is this little rubber grommet that goes in there that you can't see because there's no focus on it. It's a bit of a pain. If they made it so this was on a nice durable flap like that, that would be good. But it comes off and you can lose it, but it's a pain to get back in again. So it's, you know, it kind of makes you not want to use it. So if that could be on a little flap, like a little door, there's your charging plug. That would be ace. Absolutely ace. But it ain't. So it does make it a little bit annoying. There's not many things about a Savage that I'll point out and say I don't like. But that's one of them. Because someone said, you don't know that there's that there, you know. And I was like, look, if you've got one of these, then you'll understand the reason why me and other people don't like using that, because of that. It's a bit of a nuisance. Plus, when you poke that back in again to put your little door back on it to stop dirt getting into your receiver box, you've lost it. So then you have to take the lid off anyway. I mean, I was lucky then, but you have to take the lid off anyway to get the plug back, put it back through the hole. So the whole thing's a little bit pointless. But there we go. Stick the battery on charge. Well, it's been probably about 3 weeks since I made a video. The beginning of this video was filmed about 3 weeks ago. But here we are. So the last time I ran this, you would have seen, and it was probably the last video that you saw. Maybe, I ain't got a clue what goes out and what don't. All I know is, it's here. It's Johnny's department, old Johnny boy. It's his department to put the videos out. I just talk to you. Simple as that. Anyway, so the last time I ran this was when I put I think we started on tank number 4. I think it was. It might have been tank number 3. No, it was tank number 4. And then after that I started messing around with it. Now I noticed that it wasn't changing gear. Now it's massively important in my opinion to do your own sort of fault finding. Now I know that all of you lot were commenting like crazy saying that the gearboxes are a bit iffy in these. You need to take it apart as soon as you get it before you run it, and you need to check the grub screws and check the adjustment screws and just check it and thread lock it and all this other bollocks. Now take all that on board, because knowledge and experience from other people is always handy. But I always say to everybody, take on board what people say, yeah? But there's no substitute for your own experience. So your own experience in something is far better. So I took on board everything that you were saying, but I kind of just ignored it, because I wanted to see for myself, this being my own car. The 5.9 wasn't my car. That was a friend of mine's that he asked me to run in for him and then give back to him. So that's what I did. And he asked me specifically to immediately, straight away, put the thread lock on those screws in the gearbox. So I just did as I was told. I couldn't say no because it wasn't my car. But I wanted to see what would happen. I want to know whether HPI have rectified the potential problems or not, and are there even potential problems? Because everything can have a fault. Just because 1 or 2 or 3 or maybe 50 products have a fault doesn't mean they all do. And 50 is probably quite a lot. If 50 of them have got a fault, then there's going to be an issue somewhere. But I think you know what I'm trying to say. So this being my own personal one, I've just left it alone. I haven't touched any, I haven't thread locked it, I haven't done nothing. But straight off the bat, it never changed gear. The 5.9 was changed in the first, second and third in the running in, let alone afterwards. This one never changed the gear at all. There's only 2 of them and it never done anything. So I started messing around to try and get it to change gear. And I did get it to change gear, but it wasn't consistent. Sometimes running that way it would change, running back it wouldn't change. Running that way it still wouldn't change, but running back it would change. Some of you probably have commented on that video that the revs weren't high enough or something like that, but in my opinion the revs were more than high enough. It should have changed the gear, and me personally, I like an early gear shift. But it couldn't get it to change gear consistently. It would change, so I know that the mechanism's working, but it wouldn't change consistently. So maybe there is something wrong with it. Now it's important to remember, and I know I'm going on a lot here, but I think it's important for me to tell you what I'm thinking and for me to tell you the facts. Now, the engine has to run in and wear in, but so do all the other components. So the gearbox being one of them. The gearbox will have to wear in. All the little components, the little fork that flings out and grabs onto that little recess in that second gear. There's 2 recesses and it grab onto either one of them. Well, there used to be 2, I'm assuming there still is on this one. That needs to wear in. It could be a little bit stiff. Everything just needs to find its place and settle in and wear in, and then it'll work properly. But it should still change gear, really, fairly consistently. But this one is just so inconsistent, it just makes me think, okay, I'm going to take it apart and have a look. So that's what I'm going to do. As far as I know, the grub screw and the other screw that holds it in place is all still in there, as far as I'm aware, because I was turning it and it was there. So I'm assuming it's still in there. It hasn't fallen out like everyone says they do. But there's something a bit funny somewhere. It might just need to wear in. But all I'm doing for my own peace of mind is just taking it apart to see, is there something wrong with it? If there isn't, it just needs to wear in. As simple as that. I can't stress that enough. I'm not chasing a problem. I don't think that there's a major problem. But just for my own knowledge, I want to take it apart and have a look. That's the key sometimes with mechanics. Sometimes, I mean, there is a saying, and I do believe that saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Yeah? If something isn't broken, don't take it apart and mend it. Hence why I was, reluctant to take that gearbox apart when it was brand spanking new before I even run it and try and mend it, because it hadn't yet broken. It's possibly broken now, possibly not. So don't mend something if it ain't broken. But on the kind of contrary to that, I've always taken things apart, even if they're not broken, to see what goes on. What's going on? Is something about to break? How does it work? Well, I know how it works, but still, you know what I mean? So there's no harm in taking something apart. As long as you can put it back together again, you've got nothing to lose. So let's take the shell off. Luckily it's fairly easy on these ones. You have to ignore the chaos in the background. I've got a strimmer in bits that I'm trying to mend for my dad, because his one packed in, and I couldn't mend it because it was a stupid design, so I bought him another one. I bought him a new one. But that was broken as well, it wouldn't start. So I've got it to start, I just need to clean the carburetor out and make it a bit more reliable than it is at the current moment. But we'll get to that. So let's start taking this apart, and we'll have a look at this gearbox and see what's going on inside. Right, only 3 screws on this one. Let's see what's going on. Now, it's important to remember that for the 4.6, according to the instruction manual, they tell you to do it from flush. Oh dear, a bit greasy again. Look. They tell you to do it from flush. So, and it's 1.5 turns in. Whereas in the 5.9 manual, they tell you to do it from all the way in. Which is, and I can't remember, it's like 2.5 or 3.5 turns out or something like that. So you've got 2 different methods for the 2 different cars. While I'm here, I'm going to make sure that I've got this slipper clutch as tight as I can possibly get it. The standard setting is to tighten it all the way and then do half a turn out, but I don't want it to slip at all, because they're a pain in the arse when they slip. They rob all your power. I know they're there to try and save your gearbox, take some of the stress away from your gearbox, but listen, I'm not interested in that kind of stuff. So, well, I am, but not really. I've always tightened them as tight as they'll go. Just going to get a pair of gloves on, because I've got quite a lot of cuts in my hands, and a couple of them went septic a little while ago, and I've just recovered from it. So I want to, before I subject them to more septicness, we'll glove up. Anyway, because of all the grease in here. Right, here we go. Here's our little gears. We'll put that bearing there, and we'll take that bearing and put that there, so that I don't lose them, because they fall off and roll underneath the cabinet and I'll never get them back. I have to move the bloody cabinet every time. So let's find the little holes. So it's always the lower one. I know a lot of you lot think you know everything about gearboxes, and some of you probably do, but there's our clutch holder, and it's the lower screw, the one that's more countersunk. That's the one that does all the adjustments, and the other one is the one that just holds it all in place. And that's supposed to be the one, oh, that's the wrong size. That's supposed to be the one that comes loose, so as well as the adjustment one, but that one is as tight as you can imagine. What? Now this one is the adjustment one, the one that you probably can't see because it won't focus because of the background. This one I was messing around, and I think I did it at 2.5 turns out, but the instruction manual tells us to get it to be flush with the lower part. Now I'm going to try my best to get it so you can see this. There's plenty of videos on this, so you don't need to go by this video, but I'm just doing it just to try and give you some context. You can hopefully see the lower part because it's countersunk. I know there's dogs barking outside, but there's countersunk, right? So this part of that hole is higher than this part because it's going round in a circle. It tells you to get it flush with the lower part of the hole, which I've got to do without showing you because the way the lighting is in here, it's difficult for me to see it if I'm showing it to you. But don't worry, I will get some better lights, probably never. Bloody shadows. Right, so that is now flush with the outside of the bottom. Now I've got to go 1.5 turns in. That's what the manual says. Some of you are probably going to go, no, no, no. Oh, bollocks to you. So 1.5. So that's 1.5 turns in. That should be the perfect, that should be factory setting for gear changes. But don't forget, it's not the end of the world because you can almost adjust the gear change through the holes. So yeah, and I know a lot of you are putting thread lock on this adjustment grub screw, but well, maybe. I think we'll leave it. There's a spring in there and a little ball. Now under normal circumstances, the reason why a lot of people might be having this screw come out could be because the hole and the threads are too big, too large for the size of grub screw that they put in there, which means it's a bit loose and it's rattling out. But the pressure from the spring should be creating a little bit of resistance on the threads, stopping it from coming out. A bit like a split washer. You know, a split washer, a spring washer. The spring washer that you put on a nut and bolt, the spring washer pushes on the nut, stopping it from undoing. Similar sort of effect with the spring in here, pushing on that grub screw should be stopping it from coming out. Some people seem to think that the spring pushes the grub screw out, but that's not the case, because the threads, the grub screw will have to turn in the threads in order for it to come out, and because there's pressure on it from the spring, it'll create a lot of friction, which will then stop it from coming out. If you ever try to pull on a bolt and undo it, or push on a bolt and do it up, it's a lot harder to do or undo if you're not pushing on it at all and you're just turning it, because of the friction. And I know that there's going to be grease and oil on those threads, which will make it lubricated, which will make it less frictionized, but you see my point. So I know you're going to be shouting at the screen, but I'm still not going to thread lock that grub screw. We're going to leave it like that. I've set it now to what that manual says, and if you don't believe me, I'll show you what it says in a minute. It literally says tighten 1.5 turns past the line, and the line is showing the lower half, or the lower part of that hole. So we've done it now to what should be the factory setting. So we'll see what happens. The next time I get to run it, we'll see whether it's going to change gear. But as I said, it's not the end of the world, because you can always adjust it with those holes. You just get the screw. But at least I know that all the screws are in there. Nothing seems to be untoward. Oh, I forgot to check. Spending too long talking to you lot. I forgot to check. Is that little... that should... yeah, that's moving freely. So that's the whole reason I took the bloody gearbox apart, just to make sure that this was moving freely, and I forgot to do it. So how can I show you this in this lighting? Because if I show you it, I can't see it because of the way the shadows are. Anyway, that there and that there, that's second gear. That's effectively what the little fork catches on as it's going round. So it it flings out, and this, if I can move it in a way that I can get to it. Right, see that little thing? If I push on the bottom of it, that flings out. So at the moment that would be first gear, and then when that flings out, that then, you can't see because me Allen key's catching it, but I'm sure you can see that flings out there, and then that would hit on that, which would then engage second gear, and that's by centrifugal force. And what we're doing by adjusting that little grub screw is adjusting the pressure put on that spring, which will then in turn adjust the amount of centrifugal force needed to fling out that little clutch fork there. Obviously, less force, it's going to change earlier, because it's going to fling out with less centrifugal force, less RPM, less engine revs. The more pressure on it, the more force it's going to need, the higher the revs it's going to need to be before it changes gear. I just wanted to make sure this one is moving freely, and it is. It isn't getting stuck, it's not binding, because we had an inconsistent gear change, didn't we? So yeah, I'm happy with that. In it goes. Put it back together, and it's going to have a nice life. Right, so this is the manual. The manual for the 4.6 is laid out differently to the manual for the 5.9. And we've got, this is the gearbox part of it. And it says here the standard position. Tighten 1.5 turns from the line. And there's the line, look. From line A. So that's exactly what we've done. For those of you that might not know, a little bit of information it tells you here. For an earlier gear change, you want to turn it counterclockwise, so it's outwards. If you want the gears to change later, higher revs, you turn it in. Alright, as I said, the more pressure on that spring, the more pressure on that little clutch fork, the more RPMs, the more centrifugal force it's going to take in order to make it change gear. So there we go. You can literally, them manuals, those manuals there, they spend a lot of time, I would have thought, writing those manuals. So take note of them. Yeah, a lot of people, myself included sometimes, put manuals, instruction manuals aside. And to be honest, a lot of companies these days, they don't bother making an instruction manual, and other companies don't bother making an instruction manual, but they make it all online, which is a load of bollocks, complete rubbish. HPI, and I think Kyosho and some other brands, but HPI particularly, still make a fairly substantial manual for their cars. The Savage particularly. This manual tells you everything from the start to beginning, how to start your car, how to run it, how to set the steering up, literally everything that you might need to know. Carburetor tuning, how to set your throttle and brake up. A lot of people have trouble with the throttle and brake on these because they are a relatively unique setup with the way that they are. It tells you everything you need to know. Yeah, you've got steering trims, you've got camber, running in, how the engine works, how to stop the everything. Yeah, pull start. Look, it even tells you not to pull it too far, which is a lot of people are guilty of. Everything. Yeah, no. Why does it say no? Don't know. It's probably, what's it telling you? How to prime your engine. To use a rag. Put a rag over the thing to prime it. I like the way that it uses the word rag. Yeah, it's worded in relatively, well, no, it is worded in proper English. You know, it uses, although it's a Japanese company and they use, you know, but they actually, the English is proper. There's a lot of companies these days that are either foreign companies or they employ foreign people to write the instruction manuals, and the English is not right. It might sound okay, but they don't use the correct words for England, yeah, which is where I am. It's different if you're in America, different words. There's American English, English, or British English. But yeah, it's very refreshing. It's a breath of fresh air to see a proper manual, you know. So look, everything. Yeah. So don't throw that aside. If you buy a Savage or if you buy any Nitro car, but particularly if you buy a HPI, the manuals are perfect. Yeah. But if you still have any other questions or anything you can't work out or don't know how to do, just comment on one of my videos and I'll do my best. I'll help you out as much as I possibly can. And if you do comment, other people can see the comments as well, and they can reply to your comment and help you out. I have noticed on recent videos, not just recent but more so recent, people have been asking questions to me, and other subscribers and channel members have been then replying to them when I haven't had a chance yet and helping them out, which is lovely to see. And then I can also help, and we can all be all help together. But also, I've noticed some people asking questions to everybody. They've literally said, "Hi everyone, can anyone help me with this?" Which is also great to see, because I like it when the comments in my videos are a bit like a forum. Remember the old forums back in the day when you could go on a forum and you could just talk, put a thread out there and people reply? the comments is a little bit like that sometimes. I read through the replies to comments where everybody's been helping each other out, and it's brilliant to see. Anyway, I'll catch you lot on the next one, probably when we're going to be running that. And yeah, I'm going to go. And someone said to me, someone commented on one of my videos, right? They said, when it's hot outside, go indoors in the AC. Listen, obviously you are from, if you're, whoever wrote that is from America probably, where air conditioning is commonplace in your homes. Here in England, virtually no home has air conditioning. We're not geared up for hot weather. I know some houses do, and some new houses with heat pumps will have air conditioning, because the heat pumps are also capable of doing cold. Not all of them, some can. But the running costs over here are astronomical to run air conditioning, so nobody has air conditioning, so I can't go indoors in the air conditioning when it's hot outside. And I don't know how you look. In America, the electricity prices must be rock bottom for you to be able to afford to run your air conditioning all day long, every day, if you're living in Florida or somewhere. I don't know how you could do it. If I ran air conditioning every day, the electric bill for 1 month would probably be about £700, which is... I don't normally spend that in a year, let alone a month. So, I'll see you later. All the best. Try to be nice to everybody. Try to, you know, just open doors for ladies and old ladies and whatever else. And be nice to people. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care, you lot. All the best.